You are watching the 9.4 lesson video on bivariate data two-way frequency tables. So in all of the lessons before this, we've been talking about one variable data, and today, or in this lesson, we are going to talk about two sets of data. And the way that we sometimes organize two sets of data is by using what we call a two-way table or a two-way frequency table. And the biggest thing that I notice about when students are completing these types of questions is if you don't read it carefully, you will probably make a mistake. So we're going to look for keywords to help us through some of these questions. Let's get started. Exercise number 1 says Mrs. Hayes surveyed 10 of her students and asked them 2 questions. Are you a male or female? And do you prefer dogs or cats? And then she put everything in this table over here that you can see. And she realized, though, it really was not that organized. So what she wanted to do instead was create a two-way table so we could see things a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to use a highlighter to help me. Anytime I see males and dogs, I'm going to highlight it in yellow. Okay, next let's talk about male cat. There's a blue one. Oh, there's another male cat. And another male cat. And let's try green for female and dog. And then pink, female, and cat. Notice how we actually had to use 4 different colors because there were 4 different options. You could either be a male or female, or you could have picked a cat or a dog. Let's record our data in the table, what we call a two-way table. So right here in this section, we are going to put in any time or however many times we see male and dog. See how the two boxes intersect on the top and on the left-hand side? So how many male dogs? 1, 2, 3 yellows. Let's do male cat. So male cats, those are all my blues. There are 3 of those. And then at the bottom, we just add 3 and 3 together, which totals 6. Okay, next, females who like dogs. So females who like dogs, there's 2 of them. So that becomes 5. And how about females who like cats? There's only 1 of them. Now we can total off to the right also for our 4, and down below 2 and 1 is 3. And you know what? There's a mistake in this question because what's 6 plus 3? 9. And 5 plus 4 is 9, but what does it say in this problem? 10. That should say 9. So let's just fix that. Okay, so this is just a general idea of how two-way tables work, why we have to use them, because when we look at this table here, it does not look really organized. It's even hard to tell even when I use the different colors. Here we go with exercise 2. Here we see a group of 10th grade students responding to a survey, and it asked them which math course they were currently enrolled in, and the survey data was broken down and shown in the table above. That should say below. Man, the typo's on here. I wonder who made this worksheet. That would be me. I'll take full responsibility. Sorry that this has so many mistakes already. Okay, which of the following categories account for approximately 19% of all of the student respondents? So this is a multiple choice question. And we are looking for 19% of all of the survey respondents. Okay, so that's kind of a big deal here. So we're talking about all of the respondents. So how many people responded? That would be 310. So if I look at each one of my answer choices, we have females taking geometry. So females taking geometry, that's this spot right in here. So what we're dealing with is 53 divided by 310. And if we come over to our calculator, let's do 53 divided by 310, and I want it to give me a decimal as an output, so I'm just going to put a decimal point after my 310, and that is about, that's pretty close, 17%. Let's see if we can get closer. Okay, males taking geometry. Males taking geometry, so that's 59 out of the total of 310. So 59 divided by 310. Oh, that's close. I think we found our winner. That's about 19%. But you know what? Just to go on and make sure that we didn't make a mistake, let's keep on with answer choices 3 and 4. So males taking algebra 1, that's 44 out of 310. Well, obviously that's going to be smaller than the females taking geometry because there were 53 of them. That's not going to work. And then females taking, what color haven't I used? Blue. Females taking algebra 2. Oh, I wanted to switch that to blue. So females taking algebra 2, that's 62, which is actually slightly higher than the 59. So yep, we were right. Number 2 looks like it's our winner. All right, exercise 3. Exercise 3 says a survey of 52 graduating seniors was conducted to determine if there was a connection between the gender of the student and whether they were going on to college. So let's read on. Based on this data, determine what is more likely. Someone going to college is female or someone who is female going to college. Wait a minute. Are those the same thing? That's kind of weird. So someone going to college. Okay, so of all the people that are going to college, who's female? That's what 1 is saying. Number 2 is saying someone who is female. So, oh, of all of the females, how many of the girls are actually going to college? So there's actually a difference between the two, and that is the whole, the thing that we're going to put in the denominator, or the number that we're going to put in the denominator of our proportion. So someone going to college. Okay, so let's look in the college category. Going to college, let's keep going all the way to the end. That's 29. The total that they were surveyed was 29. And then we need to look at the female section. 13 out of 29. All right, I think that comparing to decimals or percents is always the better option. So this is what, about 40, let's say 45%, approximately. All right, let's now take a look at someone who is female. Okay, so now we're just looking at the females. There's 22 of those total. And we want to talk about the females going to college. Oh, it's also 13 out of 22. Let's look at that as a percent. Well, as a decimal, it's 0.5909, repeating. So this is actually 59%. So clearly, someone who is female that's going to college is more likely. More likely. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to highlight more likely. There we go. Exercise number 4. Basically, right above that, we have this nice little tidbit of information that can be really helpful. So sometimes they do not calculate the totals for you, and we might have to do that on our own. So let's go ahead and do the first couple together, then I'll pause the video and let you calculate the rest on your own. So if I wanted to figure out, let's do these totals off to the right here. So I would like to do 28 plus 18 plus 4, and that gives me 50. So that's the total number of middle school students. Okay, pause the video and go ahead and do high school and college totals. All right, I got 50 for all 3 categories. That was kind of cool. So 50, 50, and 50 is 150 total students. All right, let's now calculate the totals for the music categories. So the hip hop, alternative, classic rock. So we're now adding down. Okay, so these are the totals that I got. So 66, 60, and 24. I also made sure that 66 plus 60 plus 24 gave us that whole overall total of 150. And it did. All right, now we're ready to answer the questions. So it says, what fraction of students, okay, so they're talking about all the students here. So what fraction of students, of all of them, so we're dealing with 150 as our whole, okay, are high school students who like alternative. All right, let's look in the table for that. So high school students that like alternative, that would be 22 out of 150. If you wanted to simplify it, you could, but it's not necessary. All right, B says, what percentage of college students? Okay, so here is a big difference here. It says, what percent of college students? So we're now looking at the college students. The total of those is 50. And how many of those kids like classic rock? And that would be 14 of them. And here it says what percentage. So it looks like we need to do some converting. So 14 divided by 50. I'm going to put a decimal point at the end to force my calculator to give me a decimal. And that is 28%, right on the nose. All right, C. What percentage of students who like classic rock? Okay, so now we're looking at the classic rock category. That total is 24. So what percentage of students who like classic rock attend middle school? So what are the middle school kids? That would be 4. Again, we're now dealing with yet another question that's telling us to convert it to a percent. So it doesn't tell us to round, so let's say, well, I'm going to give it exactly, actually. So 16.6 repeating percent. Remember that 7 is just your calculator's way of rounding. All right, D, we're almost there. D says, what percentage of middle school students? Okay, so now we're looking at the middle school student total, which is 50. Prefer hip hop or classic rock? Oh, they're trying to trick us here. So hip hop or classic rock. So what we'll just do is group those two together. So 28 plus 4, that is leaving us with 32. So again, percent, 32 out of 50 is exactly 64%. So in summary, always pay attention to what the total is that they're asking you for. A lot of times people get the numerator right because you can see that written in the question, but the denominator is the tricky part. So always think, what is the whole? Okay, exercise 5. Here, looks like we have a public opinion poll, and the results of the poll are summarized in this table. And it says, what percentage of people ages 21 to 60? Okay, so we're now only looking at the 21 to 60 category, but here's the problem. Did they give us that total? No, so we have to find that. Well, that's not bad. That's just 30 plus 12 plus 8. So, 50 again. Cool. So 50 is my denominator, and they're saying we're for the candidate. That is 30 out of 50. And again, if you know your popular fractions, you might say, oh, hey, that's just 3/5, which is really 60% or 6/10, or some of you might say, I had no idea what you just did. So for you guys, 30 divided by 50 decimal point, 0.6, move the decimal place 2 spaces to the right, percent per 100, because you're multiplying by 10. Exercise 3, there was another typo, I'm sorry. So it says the data in the table above, there's no table above, it's actually to the right. And what it has done is it summarized dreams recalled during 1 week, and they surveyed 100 people who observed early bedtime, so they went to bed early, whatever that might mean. And then group Y consisted of 100 people who observed later bedtimes. So here's the question, drum roll. Okay, if a person is chosen at random from those who recalled at least one dream. Okay, so let's look in our table. That's going to give us our total. So those who have recalled at least one dream. Well, that's not the none category. At least one dream. What does that mean? Well, 1 dreams, 2 dreams, 3 dreams, 4 dreams, 5 dreams, 20 dreams. Wait a minute. That is actually 2 sections of our category, or of the category of dream recollection. That's 35, or no, 39, sorry, I misspoke. So 39 plus 125 is 164. So there is my total. All right, I'm kind of leaning towards answer choice 3, but if I simplified it somehow, some way, maybe I get 1 or 2. Maybe if I scaled it up, I'd get 4. So let's just be mindful. Let's finish the numerator part. So it says, reading on, what is a fraction that the person belonged to group Y? So now we're just looking at the group Y's of both of those 2 categories. So that would be 11 plus 68, which is, dun, 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 79. Answer choice 3 is our winner.